Tekoa Church, I hope you are having a great week. I'm coming to you a little early this week with a special message because Sunday is going to look a little different for our church this week. Matter of fact, multiple Sundays this summer are going to look a little different for our church. We are going to be taking some time off from what would be more of a normal gathering, and we're going to be spending time trying to focus on community. We're going to spend time bringing people from the community in, those outside of our church, and building community, having fun, having a good time. So this Sunday morning and afternoon for that gathering as well, we are not going to have a normal Tekoa Church gathering. Instead, we're encouraging you, as well as our neighborhood gatherings, to host a barbecue or a time for people to connect in community. This first one, maybe you'll join your neighborhood gathering for, and the next one or the one after that, maybe there's some people in your own community of people, your sphere of influence that you know, people from your hobbies, people from your work, your kids' friends, people, just your neighbors, that you can bring together and start to build a community with those people. And there's some real value in this for the church. There's an importance in this for you living out your call to reach those around you. So as we start today, it's going to be a very quick message I have for you around why are we doing this as a church? Why would we take time off of Sunday mornings? Why would you not just come and hang out with us, but why would you host one of these yourself? So I want to share just really briefly out of Matthew chapter 9 this morning. It says in verse 10 that Jesus reclined at table in the house. Behold, many tax collectors and sinners came and were reclining with Jesus and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw this, they said to his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" But when he heard it, he said, "Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy and not sacrifice, for I came not to call the righteous, but sinners." Jesus came in an important part of his ministry here on earth. He had such a short time on earth that he was doing ministry, just a few years. And he did a couple things regularly during that time. Yes, he preached. He spent a lot of time developing the disciples. He also spent a lot of time living life with others. He spent a lot of time, we see through scripture, just eating with people. I mean, we have to eat anyways. But he spent a lot of time being intentional about who he ate with. He even got a hard time from some of the religious leaders of his time of who he was eating with and why would he spend time with these people. But he gives us a very important point and reason that we should follow in his footsteps. He says, "Those who are sick do not need a physician, but those who are unwell do." And so this time, it's important for the church to build community too. We see in Acts 2, we've looked at that passage before, as a community. And in Acts 2, the early church is spending a lot of time eating together and in community. It's one of the reasons we have small groups as a church. And so it's valuable and important for our groups, our church, to gather together as well. But this is also a time that it's so important for us to reach out and invite people in. Because when we have food, when we invite people over to just share and hang out with us, it lowers the bar of entry for people and they can get to see our hearts to share with them the good news of Jesus. It's not a burden. It's not a condemnation of them and their lifestyle and what they're doing. Instead, it's an invitation in. I want to encourage you to be inviting people this summer. We're going to do this every month this summer, where we'll take a Sunday off from our normal gatherings. And I want to invite you and challenge you to think about, pray about, who can you invite to your own community gathering. And I want to encourage some of you to host your own and start to do this as a regular thing. And the multiple times of inviting people back of community can build some real community. And that can often be an open door for people to come to know who Jesus is. And maybe you don't have space, or that's not your gifting, but who can you team up with, partner with this summer and start to host your own gatherings? Like I said, this weekend, maybe you're coming to one of ours. If you want to come to one, you don't know who one is, reach out to me or Allie or any of your neighborhood hosts, and you can come to ours. And then in the future, I want to challenge you to hold your own. But I just want to finish with a story of what we did last summer. Last summer, it was the middle of COVID. People were hesitant to come to anything, but we got to invite some of our neighbors, some of our friends to barbecues that we had. We had a couple of these, and one of those barbecues, a neighbor from the street over came. And it was their first introduction to us and our family, as well as our church and what we were about. And it showed them, hey, these people are all right. These people have fun. They're not intimidating. And that was the start of our neighbor coming to our church eventually coming to trust and know who Jesus was, eventually coming to be baptized. And so this is very strategic, what we're doing this summer. And when I challenge you to think about and host your own gathering, who can you invite from your friends, especially those that don't know who Jesus is? When I challenge you to invite those people, it's for good reason. It's very strategic. Jesus did this as well, as he hung out with these people that did not know who God was. They weren't trusting him. They weren't following him. It was his invitation in, and it was his strategy for showing them, you know what, it's worth it to follow God. It's good for you to follow God. And so this weekend, have some fun at your gathering. If you're traveling, that's fine as well. But have some fun with your community. I challenge you, invite at least one or two people in. People are desperate for community. They're desperate for relationships right now, and outside events are a great place and way for people to hang out, build community, and see what we're doing as a church. See our heartbeat, see our culture as a church as we build towards our launch this fall. So I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you back next week for some of our regular gatherings.